Let me start by saying that I'm just first among equals. As Senate President, you are not a headmaster, you are just elected to preside and coordinate. When on June 11th, senators elected us with my brother, the Deputy President of the Senate, as President of the Senate and the Deputy, it was very clear what the decision was. The decision of the senators was unanimously a bipartisan decision. From that day that we were inaugurated, senators across party lines gave their endorsement for a Senate leadership that should work with everyone. Mr. Chairman, we have from that day made the conscious decision to ensure that we operate the Senate in a very bipartisan manner. What motivates us, what encourages us, is the fact that we all love Nigeria. Nigeria first, as far as we are concerned, as members of the National Assembly. Of course, our parties provided the platform for us to be here. But all our parties are unanimous on one thing, that Nigeria first, that we must do everything possible to enhance the security of our people, that the economy of Nigeria should work for everybody, every Nigerian, that life should be better for Nigerians, and that poverty or illiteracy or disease do not discriminate between parties. When a disease or an epidemic strikes, or when a kidnapper strikes, he doesn't ask for what your party is, no party identification. So we are bound by our commitment to work together with our colleagues from other parties. You mentioned the screening of ministerial nominees. That was our first test as a Senate. A test for our endurance, a test for our patriotism, and a test for our capacity. We had to shelve our research by 1 week to stay back to screen the nominees of Mr. President. That was very significant. But there was an angle to it as well. That throughout the screening, we tried not to look partisan, especially our colleagues who are of other parties, PDP and YPP. We screened the nominees and, of course, confirmed them eventually. We did that to ensure that the president had his team ready for him to start the business of governance. Today, Mr. Chairman, this National Assembly has been a beehive of activities. We decided quite early, in fact, since when we started campaigning for the office of the President of the Senate and the Deputy President of the Senate, we made it part and parcel of our campaign and commitment, really, that if given the opportunity, we'll reverse this very undesirable trend of passing the budget mid-year, and of course, the undesirable repercussions or consequences of implementing that kind of budget. So we say we'll reverse it to January, December. But of course, we have to get the budget presented to us by the executive early enough. We worked so hard with the executive arm of government to ensure that the president presented his budget requests at the end of September or the first week of October. It happened in the first week of October. And I want to take this opportunity to commend Mr. President for working so hard to ensure that he presented his budget request to us at that time. We said we'll make October a budget defense month and we'll suspend plenary. We kept our promise. We created a window, 2-week period for all ministers and head of agencies of government to defend their budgets before the Committee of the National Assembly. And we said the window will not be available after 2 weeks. Mr. Chairman, very distinguished members of the National Working Committee, all the MDS defended their budgets within the 2 weeks. What we have this week is the subcommittees of the Appropriations Committee, that is our committees, that are defending their budgets before the Appropriations Committee. And in fact, today is the last day of the budget defense. And as at this morning, majority of our committees have defended their budgets before the Appropriations Committee. We are so pleased. We are so happy. In fact, we are very relieved that this time around, by the grace of God, we are going to get this thing done. So I want to pay tribute to all my colleagues, senators, across all the parties, that this is not a one-man thing. No single person, in fact, a presiding officer is not supposed to have an opinion. A presiding officer simply collates opinions, and the preponderance of opinion is what takes the day or carries the day. So the credit actually goes to our distinguished senators who are not even principal officers. Because as principal officers, we are there because they decided we should be there. So we listened to them. What do you think we should do? Before we decided to suspend plenary, they had to approve of it. When we said only 2 weeks for budget defense by MDS, the senators had to approve of it. And Mr. Chairman, the issue you raised of the amendment to the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract Act was a product of the desire of senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and members of the House, not their leaders. We only coordinate, but we have a Senate today that is primed right from the start to deliver to Nigerians. We campaigned, we said we will have a Senate that works for Nigeria. This Senate works for Nigeria indeed. And this is just the beginning of what we intend to achieve. We expect that we pass the budget at the end of this year before the year runs out. But next year, going forward, Mr. Chairman, we have other very compelling, very important and significant legislations. The petroleum industry bill, we have a lot of revenue issues. We intend to look into the legislations on the revenue generating agencies, the scopes of their mandates. We want to deal with this decisively and expeditiously because we believe that the petroleum industry in Nigeria needs to have proper legislative, legal framework to ensure that we maintain the businesses that have decided to come to our country. The IOCs have nothing to fear. It's going to be a plain level field. They will have their day to suggest what they think it should be like. But one thing is, we must ensure that Nigeria receives the appropriate revenues and rewards from its endowments. We passed the amendment to this deep offshore and inland basin production sharing contract. Mr. Chairman, it may interest you to know that Nigeria received $216 million only before this amendment. After the amendment, when the act will start to operate, at $55 to the barrel, Nigeria will receive about $1.5 billion. Going up 60, it will be close to $2 billion per annum from 260. That is a monumental quantum leap, actually, of revenue. And we need revenues. We need to have money to develop this country. So we have done something that we are very happy about, that indeed we are proud about. Because, like you have said, it was not easy, but I think the determination of our colleagues in the National Assembly to pass it, no matter what the temptation would be. So it happened. So we want to appreciate all members of the National Assembly, and I'm happy, Mr. Chairman, you also appreciated colleagues in opposition, the PDP and the YPP. These are partners in progress as far as we are concerned in the National Assembly, and we intend to continue to work with them. Finally, Mr. Chairman, very distinguished members of the National Working Committee, I want to reiterate how committed we are to our party and the ideals the party stands for. We are going to continue supporting the party in whatever way is possible, and will ensure that this platform that has been available to us is continuously supported, so that at least those ideals of making Nigeria better will not suffer in any way, because our party is the one that shows the direction. But of course, as an administration, we cannot afford to be unmindful of the contributions of other people when it comes to national development. Thank you most sincerely on behalf of my colleagues who are here, the principal officers of the Senate, of APC. I want to thank you once more for this very important visit, and we appreciate you very, very well, and we wish you journey mercies as we return back to our various destinations. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency.